Hi, welcome to Corey's Corner. It's a Mental Health Monday. And today, we're talking about sex. When you say it like that, it's not very appealing, but whatever. Yeah, as I stated in the description, sex can be both good and bad for your mental health. It really depends on how you take it. You know. But before we get to saying hi to the chat, I figured I'd start this out right and I would share a meme with you guys. Yes, because it has to do with sex. Anyway, why does this cinnamon roll look like E.T. is busting a nut?
That is not the correct way to eat a cinnamon roll.
You're damn right it's not. Holy shit. Man, that is like, that does look like E.T. busting a nut. It really do. It really do. Man. Now let's say hi to the chat. Hail to Vince Womack. He says, sex? Yes, please. Where do I sign up? You might have to get a hold of the Bidens. I don't know. They might have a sign-up sheet somewhere. I don't know. Over on the Rumble side of things, we also have Vince Womack. Hail, sir. Also, Snail Messiah. He says, sign up by newly developed pleasure dolls. No hands in machinery, please. Wow. Wow. Hail to Nagurdnal. Ha, I said it right that time. Yeah, I got it right that time. It's always important to get their name right, especially if you're having sex, because if you say the wrong name, they typically get pretty upset. Just saying. Not speaking from experience myself, but you know, hey. Snail Messiah says that's Pip Monk. He used to be on Drunken Peasants a lot. Okay. T.Z. Burton says, hail Corey, hail Vince, sex, my virgin ears. Yeah, I bet you got some virgin ears on you, buddy. Let me tell ya. Right? Goodness gracious. Man. Alright, hold on one sec. Don't need these right now, unless we get some guests to join us, which, if you're a member of the Gilded, until the 14th, you can join the streams, because Gilded's going away at the 14th. That's right. Anyway, so sex is a crazy, weird, nonsensical fucking thing, right? Like, it's just sex. That's what they want you to believe, right? Sex is just sex. You just have it, and it doesn't mean anything. But anyone who's ever had sex, especially with someone they cared about, knows that that's completely fucking retarded and completely wrong. Sex is important to the human beings, not just for procreation. You know, there's a lot of stuff about sex that a lot of people don't think about. You know, just saying. A lot of things, like the chemical changes and like all this other blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm still just kind of hanging out, waiting to see if we can get a guest or two to pop in, but we can at the very least, talk about what sex is. And I don't mean the biological processes there. I'm pretty sure we're all adult enough to understand that sex is typically either a penis in a vagina or a penis in an asshole or oral stuff. You know, that's sex. Just ta-da, there it is. You stick something in somewhere else and then somebody goes, and hopefully it's a good time. Hopefully, but just saying. T.Z. Burton says, women make life. It's a superpower. Women style. Yep, women can make life, and that's one of the outcomes of sex. But it is not the chief focus of our live stream today. I promise you that. Hail to Christian Delorme's Vinyl Revival. He says, bonjour, everyone. And I say, hi. Nothing like having a nice Canadian trucker when we talking about sex. That's right. Vince Womack says, clip starts in my head, in the ass. What? In the butt? What? In the butt. Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but sex really can fuck a lot of things up for us. Yep. It can make or break a relationship. It can, hell, make or break a job. It all really depends on what you're doing and how you're using that sex. You know what I mean? Yep. Yep. Sex is a weapon. Sex is a tool. Sex is a sacred bond, at least for some people. Sex is just a way to get out of your head for others. I mean, it really depends on what sex is to you, on how you perceive sex in general. But today's main topic of discussion is pretty much going to be like my views on sex and the things I've noticed thereabout. Being a man in his 30s, you know, been around for an okay amount of time, been doing my thing for quite a while as well, but I have noticed that one of the biggest things about sex is not only is it a taboo, but it is also something, it is like a forced taboo. It's kind of weird. Uh-oh. Gosh. Christian DeLorme with a dirty joke for the morning. He says, here's a joke of my trade. Why do women prefer sleeping with truckers instead of YouTubers? We always back up before unloading. Heyo. Ha ha. But Yep. Yep. Good job, sir. You got that. What is that? That's not the rim job. I don't remember what they call that. There's a specific thing for that. I don't know. Anyway, yup, les femmes are a thing for a reason. You're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong. But, yeah, so why is sex so powerful? Rim shot, not a rim job. Thank you, drummer man. Never would have guessed that. Also, make sure you check out Christian DeLorme's Vinyl Revival from, on Jimi Hendrix. That was a good show. Anyway, so let's talk about why sex is so powerful, okay? Sex is not only a biological imperative, but it also connects us with another human being in a way that makes us feel special, even if it's just for a minute. And of course, human beings love feeling special, so we don't shy away from things that put us into that headspace and force us into a dopamine-induced moment of clarity, for men anyway. Now, sex is so powerful because of the amount of importance we as people place on it. All right, and that's a weird thing to say, but we'll loop back around to sanity here in a minute. Things only ever have the power that we give them, but there's a draw to sexual pleasure and desire and stuff like that. Does my chair go up anymore? It does a little bit. That's nice. All right, but yes, make sure you check out Christian DeLorme over at the Jimi Hendrix stream, Vinyl Revival. That's right. Anyway. So, we have many different views of sex, but it always works the same way. The desire arises, the need presents itself one way or another, and then we get some sort of reward out of it. And at least I hope the women do too, because, I mean, there are a lot of selfish men out there, but that's neither here nor there. Sex will activate the same neural pathways as hard drugs or cheese. But that easy of a release, that easy of a flood of dopamine can be easy to become addicted to, for one, because we always want to reach that baseline where we're not aggravated, we're not depressed, we're just sitting there nice and comfortable in the middle somewhere, right? So when we have sex, it allows us to experience an incredible high, the orgasm for most people anyway, and then it returns us to a normalized baseline. And the normalized baseline is what every person chases. That's what drug addicts chases. It's what gambling addicts chase. It's not the actual up, but it's the sustained normalcy after the fact that they have biologically programmed themselves to seek. And when it comes to sex versus gambling or drugs, it's one of those things that you, A, don't have to go far to get. honestly. It's right here for most guys and women, too. But, yeah, the dopamine and the norepinephrine and all the other things that flood into your brain are all feel-good drugs. Now, what happens after the fact is something we'll get to later, but, that's why sex is so important to a lot of people, because they use it as a way to flood themselves with feel-good neurotransmitters that they might not actually get otherwise, or have entered a point where they can't naturally produce them on the level that their body needs. And that's a standard response to an addiction, is when you're artificially inducing production of a neurotransmitter, it actually winds up decreasing the likelihood of you actually naturally producing that transmitter to adequate levels. Anyway, hail to Captain Palsy. Snail Messiah over here says, I like sex a lot. However, I came to understand that having been bullied and made fun of so much, part of why I want it so much is that I feel accepted in my skin. This is true. And that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is sex is a way to connect. It is a way to feel accepted, and it's a way to feel validated within your own sphere of existence. And one of the biggest problems there is when we require that type of validation, it becomes an acceptable means of gaining said validation. Now, when you receive the validation through sexual means, and then you don't have sex, this can often result in you feeling less valuable to other people, less valuable to yourself. It can often, sorry, I got an itch in my eyeball. It can often lead you to seeking riskier and riskier behavior for that validation. It's much like a drug, because it kind of is, but because it's, as Vince Womack says, it's a nice dopamine hit. He also says, you only win if you come in first, right? Not in my book. I only win if she comes first, but that's different. Anyway, so like with any drug, you're looking for validation while you're getting it, while you're seeking it out, right? And it's a lot of the times people don't understand the internal processes that are cranking around inside of here. You know what I mean? Vince says, men, hand. Women, pretty much anything. Yeah, you're not wrong. And the square that's missing is yeah, whatever you want to call that. The Italian hand, if you will. But anyway, like with most drugs, when you get into sex dependency, your body will go into withdrawals. And you'll start seeing, you'll see certain behavioral changes within yourself. Other people will see them too. It's almost unavoidable, because if you sex yourself up too much in a way that doesn't provide you with full validation of yourself, then it often leaves you feeling dirty. It often leaves you feeling wanting more. It leaves you feeling guilty for some people. It really, 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 really fucks with your head, right? Now, hold on. All right. Now, masturbation is a huge thing in this as well, because people will masturbate when they're bored, sad, angry, tired. It doesn't matter, because it's a way to introduce adrenaline into your system in order to give you a slight energy boost, which actually makes you feel better because of the dopamine and all this other stuff. And then after the fact, people like to talk about post-nut clarity and all this other stuff, but the reality of that is it just removes the emotional portion that's driving you towards the sex. And when you're dealing with a sexual addiction, if you will, those feelings can be super overwhelming. And I mean, like, to the point that, like, a person with a sex addiction who goes too long without sex to validate their own existence will, like, 70% of the time have a suicidal ideation somewhere in there. They will suffer from suicidal ideations, you know. Vince Womack says that's why porn addiction is such a problem nowadays. This is true. And that generates a whole different set of issues that we will get into. But When you're looking for the validation aspect of it, or you're looking for a release of some kind, and that is your sole means of letting it go, if you will, then the problem arises that you won't connect with other people as much as you want to, or in correct ways, I should say, in healthy manners. And now, when you're a masturbator or a chronic masturbator and you're just wanking it out 40 fucking times a day and you're chafed and you're like, oh my gosh, like obviously that's a problem. But masturbators will often be more outwardly aggressive towards other people because they carry a dual sense in there. Some people, it's egocentric masturbation so that they can just rub one out and then just go on with their lives. But there's a lot of people out there who struggle with it where they masturbate and then all of a sudden, they're not happy people anymore. They feel like shit. Oh, I'm such a terrible person. And that really boils down to your cultural views of sex. The more demonized sex and self-pleasure is within a cultural context, say Catholicism, stuff like that, the more likely those people are to experience the post-nut guilt over the clarity. They'll rub it out, and then like 30 seconds later, they'll be like, what have I done? I just killed millions of potential children. And I won't get into shaming people over things like that, but I gotta say, it's a maladaptive response. And when I say it's a maladaptive response, when you're fulfilling a biological imperative, and your culture says that you shouldn't fulfill that biological imperative, it generates, obviously, a moral conflict that can really, 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 really mess people up. And that's not healthy. I will say, though, masturbation itself is not technically healthy either. Simply because of how often people do it and how often that chemical change in their brain will fuck them up. Masturbators will be overly aggressive with other people when they've had their fun, if you will. But when it comes to chronic sex fiends, and of course we're talking about nymphomaniacs as far as this one's concerned. Hold on. Sorry, I needed a big one like post-sex puff. Yeah, buddy. No. So, sex fiends, nymphomaniacs, right? We all grew up hearing about these people, but very few of us have actually experienced a hypersexual individual who it can be classified as a nymphomaniac. And the problem nymphomaniacs has isn't actually, well, I should say it's incredibly complex. Okay, because there's internal factors and there's external factors. Individuals with sex addiction, who have developed them through what I would call a normal development of a sex addiction, oftentimes have parents that are overly complimentary, not necessarily hands-on. That's an important distinction. They're not necessarily sexually abusive, but they often interact with the individual in an overly sexual way. Like, say you have an uncle or a dad who has a budding teenage daughter, and he's all like, oh, she's filling out good, and he constantly says things like that, then that girl will eventually develop the idea that that's the only value men will ever see in her. And then she seeks out emotional validation through that. The other problem there is if you're addicted to sex, that means you're more than likely addicted to adrenaline, which means you're more than likely going to engage in risky behavior, risk-taking behavior, such as drunk driving, heavy drug use, things like that. And of course, the more promiscuous you are, the more likely you are to actually go out and, well, do stupid shit. Just saying. Vince Womack says, the problem with nymphomaniacs is that after a while the nympho leaves and only the maniac remains. That's because nymphomaniacs often require what I call variety of life. And the variety of life section in that is that nymphomaniacs require such a high level of stimulation all the time. These are the people you'll see walking around with vibrating panties and shit like that. The biggest problem there is... as with anything, the more you're exposed to something or someone, the less effective they are in initiating said response, the biological response of excitement. And the nymphomaniacs, when they no longer have interest in you, as you said, that you just get the maniac. And the problem with that is that means that their pleasure centers no longer respond to you. And since the pleasure centers are the center of who they are and how they live, they then stop caring about you. They start hating you. They'll cheat on you. They'll run out. They'll do all kinds of stupid stuff. They'll bring people home. They'll try to introduce outsiders, all this other stuff. And honestly, if you're dealing with a nymphomaniac, even though you might enjoy the shit out of it, you might just want to leave and go try and find a normal fucking person. Because, let's be honest, nymphomaniacs ain't actually worth shit. Okay? At all. Vince Womack says, damn, that explains my zero tolerance to drinking and driving. That's fair. TZ Burton says, women's value is higher in her 20s, which includes looks. Men's value is when they are older making money. While that is very, very true, I will say that I personally think women in their early 30s are far more valuable because they're experienced. But that's my own personal preference there. No judgment if you like the older ladies. Lots of judgment if you like the young ones. Hail to Mass Grave. He says, too much truth for you assessment of nymphos. Too much truth for my assessment of nymphos. Man. Well, I got another one for you. Nymphos often have multiple co-occurring disorders. Nymphomania is a big deal because there is the programmed side where the ladies and the guys get overexposed to sexual things as kids, so that becomes the center, like we talked about. But then the other side of nymphomania is actually, it's really weird. It can be a spontaneous development, and that happens when, like, say you are a virgin and you're in your 20s. Mid-20s, let's say, and you have sex for the first time in a way that is not typically considered traditional, and it's extreme, and it's exciting, and it's just pleasurable, and all that stuff. That is your baseline, okay? And when you have that baseline, you try to exceed that baseline in pleasure, but when you're having normal sex with a normal person, then, whatever, that baseline is steadily not achieved. And this can actually cause a drive in the individual who's just having this experience for the first time to fulfill that need at greater and greater intervals and in greater and greater intensity, if you will. Now, the problem there is you see a shitload of people that are like clubbers and stuff like that. They go out, they do a bunch of drugs, and then they just start fucking whoever they see, right? And then you have massive outbreaks of sexually transmitted diseases, and you have a whole bunch of other shit that happens. But on top of that, that person's mental health rapidly, not just incrementally or steadily declines, but rapidly shits down into the fucking tubes. It's just done. Oh man. Our first guest is here. Hello, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is Jason Fox from 540 Studios. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Whatever you talked about, that sounded like Norway in a nutshell.
We talking sex today. Right now, the current topic is nymphomaniacs.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
And that really depends on what part of the world you're in, too.
Yeah, if you're in Norway, yes, there is many nymphomaniacs, because we are a country with sex. We are known for sex.
Well, and that's also because you guys are somewhat of a socialist nation. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but in socialism, everyone belongs to everyone. So the more sexually promiscuous you can be, the more successful your socialism is going to be, right? Yuck, yuck. And everybody's happy in Norway, right? It's not like the highest suicide rates ever.
No. And before that, we were Vikings, and we fucked a lot.
Yeah. That's go forth and populate, multiply, baby. Anyway, Snail Messiah says, I had 3 Norwegian girlfriends. I love them. Yeah, I bet
you're
you did.
Danish. Yeah, you're Danish. Of course you love them.
Yeah. Those Danes, gosh. Yeah, Mass Grave says, this might be why I can't perform without feelings. Huh. That is an important part about sex, is emotional connection, because a lot of people chase emotional connection during sex. And it's kind
Yeah.
of, it's, I don't want to say that's a bad thing because if it's someone you actually want to spend the rest of your life with, then emotionally connecting with them through sex, not a bad thing. But if you emotionally connect with every person you have sex with, then you need,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
obviously have attachment issues and you need to kind of like step back a little bit. You know what I mean?
Is it me or do you have a little static on your side?
Do I have some static? All right,
Not
hold
on
on.
your voice, but your background.
My background. Oh, that's
Sounds like
because they shut my fucking. StreamYards, ladies and gentlemen, check your audio settings every time. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Is
No,
that
I just
better?
heard it. Now that's a
Yeah.
lot better.
It's my fan in the back, and they're all like,
Yeah.
"Ah." I shut off echo cancellation last night because I'm wearing headphones, and then all of a sudden it shut off my background noise. But whatever, fucking weirdos.
What it
Uh,
is.
Vince
But no,
Womack. Oh, what's up?
no, I was gonna mention, yeah, for me, example, I used to be a really nymphomaniac person. I used to have a lot of sex. I was a That's why I have the nickname of my friends. You're a fucking whore, and we joke about it on the channel too, because I have almost been with like 200 people in my life, and yeah, that kind of says a lot
That's a
about who I
lot.
used. That is a lot, and that kind of says a lot about who I used to be. Um, but the good thing, about becoming older, starting to understand stuff and see the world in a different lens, and that's what I did at some point. I don't remember when, but at some point I started to see things from a different lens, and what that's not what I want. I don't want to have sex with so many people and stuff like that. I want a family. I want all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that changed, through the years.
Well, and that usually does happen. Like with most things, when you as you get older, it will level out some, and you can start like straightening whatever priorities you need to and stuff like that, and start
Yeah.
devaluing sex
And
slightly.
and sex became a problem for me too because many years ago, I'm not like that anymore, but many years ago for me that was like, because my mental health, it started, it was I love because my mental health and kept me stable to a point. It worked for that time being, but of course that stopped later on in life.
Right.
But it became like, how do I explain it? It became like, I felt better, by myself by having
Mm-hmm.
sex and stuff like that. So again, that can also go to mental health, and why you have a lot of sex, and you have to, check up what's wrong in your head, what's going on, and because I understood, that the sex stuff are getting out of hand for me because of this, and yeah, and I do agree with Masgrave. Yes, it is gross, but it is what it is,
Right.
it
And that's one thing I just want to touch on real quick. While we may find certain lifestyle choices that people have made uh gross in our own views, it's important to remember that if they've changed, then there's no judgment that can go around. All right. I'm just saying that right now. I don't think Mass Grave is judging you. I think he's just having a reaction. But I'm just saying,
yeah, yeah,
while it is gross to be with 200
yeah,
people just
uh,
because you'd never know where those people have been, I'm glad that you're able to grow from that experience
yeah,
because a lot of
same
people
here.
get stuck in that experience where it's just the swinger
Yeah,
life or it's just the player life or it's just
yeah,
fuck me in an alleyway and I don't care anymore life,
yeah.
things like that. So Mass Graves said, "What I mean is having healthy relationships for most of my early years made it to where I'm not interested in casual sex." And that's an important thing. Okay, that's an important turning point within the sex thing is when you have a meaningful relationship, sex means something to you.
Yep, it
And
does.
when you're just having casual sex, it kind of like playing casual video games, it doesn't really mean much. It's a way to pass time. It's a way to change your mindset a little bit. Maybe, leave your world behind for a few minutes or a few hours, depending on what kind of kink you got. But, you know, healthy relationships do change your view on sex, and casual sex
It
becomes
does.
much less casual as time moves on. Hail to Boosh McFadden. Good to see you again,
And
my lovely chef friend.
yeah, and no, it's okay. It's okay, Massgrave. I didn't think it was judgment or anything of that. So, and if it was, I would not care either because I'm not ashamed of it because it's part of my
Right.
story and of who I am today.
Yeah.
And that's why I joke about it. My friends would joke about, we joke about it because it is what it is. I did OnlyFans for a while back in the past with my ex-girlfriend. Am I ashamed of it? No. Am I honest about it? Yeah. Because I always say this: if people find old videos or pictures of me and my ex, I wonder why you want to find it, why you want it. I really wonder why, but
Right.
but if stuff like that ever get leaked or shown, I'm just gonna be like, yeah. So it's part of my past. It's something I did, and I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed of it. It was an experience. And I always
And
say this. I always say this. The best part with it all was not the sex. It was actually me editing, because I loved editing a lot more than sex. So
yeah.
that was the best part of it.
Right. So Boosh McFadden says, I can join if you like. I'm still experiencing Hurricane Beryl. Feel free to join, bro. You're welcome to. You're a member of the Gilded, so you're more than welcome to join us. Now, Vince Womack here says, now I'm wondering what slash is there something wrong with me? When I'm in a relationship, I like much physical contact, not necessarily sex, hugging, and touching. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you, bro. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. My love language is physical contact. My wife understands that, and I know that's a very like feminine thing to say, my love language, but it's true. There are love languages for each person. Mine
Yeah,
is physical contact. I love hugging. I love kissing. I love touching. It's not always sexual. It's not. It's just
same
making
here.
physical contact with the person that you
Yeah,
actually are bonded with makes you feel good. And there's
yeah,
absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just like there's absolutely nothing wrong with sex. Okay, there's not. There's don't let your Mormon mom fuck you up on this one, kids. There's nothing wrong with sex. Okay? It's how you use it. Like all these OnlyFan bitches, they fucked. And I don't mean just literally. I mean they're never going to be relationship material for anyone ever again because that's what they
yeah.
chose to do with their life. And I'm not judging people that are on OnlyFans, but I really hope you don't expect to develop some meaningful relationship out of nothing but sex. Rarely
Yeah.
happens, rarely healthy.
That's why I'm happy I just did it with my ex-girlfriend. It was only us at that time.
Right?
And
There you
nothing
go.
more, no other partners, no multiply or anything like that. Just two partners having fun because, we wanted to do it, try it out, earn some money on the side and stuff like that.
Yeah. And like I said, no judgment. But when that's your sole line of existence, then I'm judging
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
judging you.
That I do,
you
that
know.
I also do.
And plus, me as a guy, if I were on the singles market and stuff and not happily married, I wouldn't want some bitch that's all stretched out and nasty.
No, no.
Honestly. Hail to Boosh McFadden. Hi, buddy. Hurricane survivor. Hope you're
Yeah.
doing well,
Hey,
sir.
How's it going?
Good, good, good. How's things holding up down there?
Windy and wet.
Yeah,
Just how I like them.
I saw nice. Yeah, I saw that it was a Cat 5 now
Oh
up there.
no, that's all nonsense.
No?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
they said it was supposed to be sustained winds of 65 miles per hour before landfall.
Okay.
It reached 38-mile-per-hour sustained winds when it hit land. Still windy.
Yeah.
It got up to 45-mile-per-hour sustained, but that was only for a few hours. Again, it's still windy, it's still rainy, but cars aren't tipping over.
Right. That's a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
Vince Womack says wet blowing. Nice.
Yes. Vince and
Dirty.
I are on the same page. That's my homie. I don't know if you guys know. Vince and I are homies.
Hell yeah. You should be homies with Vince. He's
Well,
fucking
with
awesome guy.
Nick Weiser's
Yeah.
toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
yeah,
Similar tastes.
Very nice. Hail to Trina. She says, I saw sex, so I had to check this out. Welcome.
That's the only reason anyone clicked on this stream.
You're damn right it is, and that's the only reason that's the only reason I named it that. Sex.
Just sex.
But when you say it
clickbait
like
here,
that,
just sex.
it's creepy. It's creepy when you
It's
say
all
it like
it's all about
sex.
marketing, right?
Damn right. Damn right.
Hey, Christian.
Christian Delorme says, talk about blowing. Keeper. You're damn right. You're damn right. Now,
Blowing and wet.
blowing and wet.
Can't forget wet. Moist.
Gotta keep moist.
Moist.
All right. So Christian Delorme says, now nymphomaniacs, is that taking advantage of somebody who is damaged in some way? No. By all rights, a nymphomaniac is an individual who's addicted to the process and outcome of having sex. Now, the reason it isn't typically classified as taking advantage of someone who's damaged in some way is because nymphomaniacs are almost always consenting.
Exactly. You can't
And
take advantage of someone that's a willing participant.
now a nymphomaniac will very often take advantage of other people in order to fulfill their needs. A nymphomaniac is more likely to be an individual involved in sexual assaults. They're more likely to be an individual involved in pedophilia, various things like that, simply because they have these urges that they think they can't control. And the problem there is the locus of control issue that we always come back to. You're in control of your fucking life. Own up, man up, fucking take control. But most of these people want that release, and they'll do anything to get it, including
there's another part of
taking
that
advantage of other people.
There's another part of that you're leaving out, which is mutual alcohol and drug abuse between
This is true as well.
participants.
Yeah.
This is
true as
something
well.
that is very prevalent in people who are considered nymphomaniacs.
Yes, yes, it is.
They will say like, "Hey, let's get high."
Yeah,
with
see,
someone else in order to not exactly take advantage, but
Right.
to engage in the act.
Yep, and the big one there, I know this is a huge thing, honestly, for sex fiends and all kinds of stuff, is meth. And we see meth use happen within the gay community quite a lot. Simply because the people who are engaged in homosexual nymphomania want to keep their drive up so they can just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So sex and drugs become intertwined for a lot of these nymphomaniacs to where they can't even actually perform and fulfill their desires and their needs without the chemical stimulation from the substances. So
that's been an issue for about 20 years when it really started kicking off. That happened back in the 80s with cocaine.
Yep.
Marijuana's never been like a big one. Like, hey, let's smoke a doobie and then bag.
Let's
crack
smoke a big
cocaine in the
fat
90s.
bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Crack cocaine in the 90s. Having alcohol since 1500 BC.
Yeah, forever. Yep. And and that's another thing that is really, really big about sex is the bar scene, right?
Yeah,
It's
one of the
really
problems in
strange.
Norway
And
is that the alcohol and sex is the biggest thing here in Norway. It's like no matter what, that's the one thing you will always hear about Norway is people getting drunk and fuck all the
So
time.
that happens all over the planet except for in Arab countries, and it even happens in Arab countries.
The thing with
And
Norway
it
is it's
does.
one of the
It's-
biggest countries that is like this 24/7 in a
No,
really
it's Venezuela is number one. Like
Wow.
per capita, it's higher alcohol per person than any other nation on the planet is Venezuela.
Wow, Scotland,
like-
step up your game, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ireland, hello, and no, they're not even close. Like
I know.
Ireland is like number 13, and Venezuela's number 1. Like how? Oh,
Right.
Caracas. That's why.
Mass Grave says, "Psh, I love sex and weed." Well, yeah. We're not saying it doesn't make it good. We're just saying that's not primarily why you smoke weed.
Correct.
You
Like
know.
you smoke weed, you watch some movies with your girl, and then you go, "Hey," you don't get like really, really high, and then go, "Let's fuck." You get really, really drunk and say, "Let's fuck," or you smoke meth or crack or do some coke and say, "Let's fuck."
Right.
I don't think anyone's. I mean, I've had sex when I was stoned, but it was not like the first thing on my mind because my mind's going someplace else. So like,
right.
Yeah, let's make out. This is so awesome. But also, Corey might be playing GTA 5 right now.
Right.
Like-
right. And that's where like understanding the interactions drugs have in your system is really important because like I had a strain of weed last week that was practically a fucking aphrodisiac and I did not like that. Like when I smoked it, nothing but sex was in my brain, and I'm all like, "This is not okay." Yeah, it was really weird because it was a sativa, and like normally when I find a racy sativa, it makes me manic, and I really don't like that. But then it was just all like, "Hey, we're gonna
Yeah.
rev this up to 7, just a little bit to 7, because it's
Well,
not the
you're
highest my
already
sex drive's ever been."
ADHD, so having some,
Exactly.
yeah.
It
If you guys didn't know, yes, Corey has ADHD.
Yeah. In case you couldn't tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to have a beard too, and then he ate it.
Yep. It was tasty. TZ Burton says, I have been with my wife for a while and she is my one and only squeeze. Monogamy is a good thing. I
I
don't
think
care what
monogamy is the best
yeah,
thing.
don't care what anyone in the broader society says. Monogamy is not only perfectly fine, it is the perfect way to exist with the person you match with. Finding that person is really fucking hard sometimes. So if you haven't found that person, don't worry about it. But
It's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
it's totally fine. But if you're looking to have a healthy relationship, it needs to be monogamous. Okay, because in my personal opinion, polyamorous relationships are still incredibly one-sided, or I
Yeah.
should say two-sided, because there's two people that are involved, and then you got the
Well,
third and fourth
no,
wheels.
it's generally
But
it's one-sided. When it's
yeah, there's
so look at me
typically
with the multiple wives.
yeah,
It's all in the man,
yeah,
and then sometimes there's a woman that says, "Let's have an open relationship." Then it's all on her.
right.
Like what's her name? Jada Pinkett Smith.
Jada Pinkett Smith. Oh my gosh, dude, I couldn't imagine fucking that bitch.
Oh, that's my avatar right now.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, yeah, I get it. It was a little artistic representation up in there, but I get it. Her head's a little too big in your picture.
Go smack that guy that talked about my bald head.
Right. Yeah, I got to get on that. Jeez. TZ Burton says, now we can hear Corey after shutting the door on Sex Dungeon. Ha, joke's on you. It's a quiet, closed door. Ha ha. Anyway, Boosh McFadden on the panel says, it's objectification, Corey. Casual or kinks. You are correct. And that's really the goal of casual sex, if you will, is to generate the objectification of individuals and make them within the participant's mind nothing more than a tool for a means to an end, if you will.
A bonus hole.
Yeah, a bonus hole. That's a good way to put it.
No, that's how I've been there before in my 20s and 30s. I'm not an unattractive man, and I'm not.
You're damn right you're not.
But I was not tied down, and it was easy, especially in the fucking city. Going to Miami or going to like downtown Tampa or going to DC or Atlanta, hit a bar, you get shot down 3 or 4 times. Boom, there's one. Come back to the hotel room, easy. That's not who I am anymore, but it's who I have been, and I'm not really proud of that. And I understand that some men are at even our age are going, yeah, I bagged like 3 chicks this past week. Like, you're 40. You've got gray hair on your balls. Let's stop. Great, you've made your conquests.
Yeah.
Move a little bit further with your life instead of this. It's
around.
gross. It's not. It's absolutely not boring. But
hail to Keely Chow.
Hey, Keely Chow. I love Keely Chow.
Hey.
Roll. You have to say Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Keely says, "What's going on? We're talking sex. Yeah, sex. Anyway, Captain Palsy says, I can count the times I've had sex on my hands. You know what? Having a high body count is not a great thing.
It's not, no.
And like I said, I'm not shaming anybody who has a high body count. Like, Jason,
please
your body
shame
count
me.
is like impressive.
I have a high body count. Please shame me.
But when you break it down, the less you have sex, the more it means to you in a proper context.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. And having less sexual partners actually allows for more time for self-discovery of who you are as a person. Because if you're spending all your time trying to please other people, figuratively and literally, you don't actually get enough time to figure out who you are in the proper contexts. And if you don't know who you are in the realm of sex, then it's always going to be awkward. And if you
Uh,
discover who you are in the realm
I
of sex,
do have a disagreement there.
okay,
Depending on what you consider a long-term relationship, 2 years, 3 years, and then 3 years, and then 2 years, we started doing different things.
hmm
And that's not something you can do with a one-night stand. Like, can I do this with her that I did with this
well,
other girl that I'd been with for 2 years? You you start to just, like I said before, objectify. Like, you're just an object for me to get my
my
get my rock.
jollies off. Yeah.
Yeah, get my rocks off. And when you're with someone over an extended period of time, she knows what I like, and I know what she won't do.
Well, see, and that's actually an important outcome of having a single sexual partner is you're able to explore and learn
Correct.
about them. You can learn about yourself in a lot of different ways. Like, oh my gosh, I really like watching tentacle porn. Well, super duper for you. But like, if you're
If
with
she's not
someone,
into that,
yeah,
then you're not going to have a relationship.
exactly.
Well, that
And
was one of the
so,
things I was talking about with kink. Like,
yeah,
you can't just start off with a one night stand of like ball gag and tired of bed. You can't do that. You can't do that
right,
on a one night stand.
Yeah,
Because
you
then,
cannot
because
do
then you'll
right.
be accused of murder. Well,
So
I'm just
Tizzy
saying, like
Burton.
this one of the
You
girls I
can't
was
just
with for
go out
3 years.
and then you find a woman and just like you're gonna go home to her to you or something, and
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna do some knife play or
I mean, like
Like
sometimes I like them grab, but this girl I just met at the bar, not sure if she's into that.
testicular torsion. See, and that's one of the
Oh, please don't
dangers.
twist them. Please don't twist them. Just like
That's
kind of pull
actually
off.
that's actually one of the most common dangers you have with a one night stand, if you will, is incompatibility and preference. Because when you pick somebody up at a bar, you don't know anything about them. You don't know if they're a serial killer. You don't know if they have AIDS and stuff. But more importantly, you don't know if they are carrying around a 12-inch strap on in their bag and just want to have some fun pegging times. And, so compatibility with a one night stand is often challenging. So it winds up just being what I would refer to as a somewhat vanilla experience of just having
Yeah,
sex wherever
yep.
the fuck you happen to
Yeah.
wind up. And the
Yeah.
problem there is you don't actually engage your full self when you're doing that. You're just fulfilling a need. And when sex is
Whoa.
just to fulfill a need,
But
it's
for
meaningless.
one of the it wasn't really a relationship. It was more of I'm here, you're here. Neither one of us are in a relationship, so let's go. Fuck buddy
Right.
kind of thing.
Mutual
And
validation. That's
well, yeah. First time she was a medical student, 25 years old. Met her at a pub, an Irish pub, and first time we got together, she was overly aggressive, and I was like, whoa, hang on. We have plenty of time, and she's like, no, like grabbing my hair, and I don't have a whole lot of hair to grab onto. And I was like, oh shit, no, whoa. Let's just start taking it slow. When we started taking it slow, then we started having the, fuck buddy situation. Like
right.
Saturday night, she's out with her friends, calls me, what are you doing? Nothing. You want to come over? Yes.
Booty call.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
But there was no relationship. There was no real relationship there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a relationship, but not like meaningful relationship.
Yep. I get that. Christian Delorme over here says, I find alcohol extends the fun. Give me a 6-pack. I can go for 2 hours. For some people, that works. Other people, you get whiskey dick, and that's that.
Corey,
it really depends on who you are.
I have to interrupt again. I'm sorry. But for years, I thought whiskey dick meant I couldn't finish. Like I'd stay in that stage forever and not be able to go. Turns out it means you cannot get to that. You can't.
Yeah, can't. It's
Yeah.
it's a little floppy.
Pushing rope.
Most people won't do 50 Shades of Grey. You're right, TZ Burton.
Well,
Vince Womack.
that was with the 3-year relationship I was with.
Yeah.
I have neckties. I used to wear a suit.
Yep.
And I had neckties, and this girl I was with for 3 years. Yeah, you know, when you have a mattress, there are these little handles on the side of the mattress there, and yeah.
Some bondage fun, huh?
Also
I
ice
remember.
cubes.
I remember
Also
those
ice cubes.
days. Yep.
Well,
I remember
it
those
wasn't
days.
like abuse. It was more like
Oh.
experimentation.
Well, yeah, for me it was abuse. I like being an abused sub, but that's neither here nor there.
Face down or face up?
Face up, obviously.
Okay.
Multiple wives isn't a bad thing. They can't all have a headache. But thank you, Vince Womack. Yes, sir. Captain Palsy says, unfortunately I am 44 years old and finding a great relationship is in the past. No, it is not, sir.
No, it's not.
Just keep your hopes up, keep trying, and you'll find somebody. I fucking guarantee it. And if you don't, then that just means the world's broken. Because
well, dude, I guarantee there are women your age out there who feel the exact same way.
Also, bro, meaningful relationship wise, you can find a younger woman that's looking for a meaningful relationship. You're 44, you could find a woman in her mid-30s who's sick and tired of fucking playboys.
You can find a 25-year-old
that's sick and tired of playboys.
Settle down.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So don't give up, bro. Never give up. There is always hope for you. And,
I love Corey's idea. Doesn't have to be a 44-year-old. Could be a 30-year-old.
Hell, dude, I've seen some 50-year-olds out there that are like, damn, but they're also like squared away. So I mean, going either direction's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm personally opposed to fucking an 80-year-old, but whatever floats your boat, bro. Just saying. TC Burton says, "What if you just like looking at naked women?" I don't see anything wrong with that.
Think there's anything wrong with that.
As long as you're not like at a playground.
90% of men in the United States like looking at naked women, and 98% of men on the planet like looking at naked women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's based on the percentages. It's very, very far normal.
Right. Right.
Not to say that being homosexual is abnormal. It's just less common.
Right. Less common is a good way to put that. Trina over here says promiscuity should be discouraged. I think promiscuity in children should be discouraged. If they're an adult, let them make their own fucking mistakes.
Right.
But I do agree with you to the fact that promiscuity is not necessarily healthy, and it should be discouraged up to a certain point. Obviously, discouraging some people will encourage them to do so. So just, yeah.
Chastity is a virtue.
It is indeed. Christian Delorme says the more sex you do, the better you get at it. That's not necessarily true if you're always doing it the wrong way. Because there is a right way to do sex, and almost every woman can attest to that. So, saying.
Can I share with you just for Christian, one of my anecdotes about when I used to have my version of whiskey dick, and just couldn't finish. She was having a great time.
DNA.
That's fine. I wanted to have a great time too. Went to the bathroom. Jergens. Bam. Less than 2 minutes. Done. Get back into bed. She's like, "Well, how'd you do that?" I'm like, "I just don't. I know my body."
Right.
She's like, What's wrong with my body? I said, "Are you comfortable?"
Right.
Jason,
you got your
good
stop
laugh on
questioning.
That one. Like, what's wrong with my body? I thought she was very, very happy with herself.
Keely Chow says the only porn I'll watch is Wes Moody's clean Star Trek porn parodies.
Oh my god,
that's a good one to go. And to follow that up, Trina says I miss a family porn night on Wes Moody's channel. He did get in a lot of trouble for that. He really should have just gone to Rumble.
Corey, can you bring up her earlier chat about promiscuity, and then she says that?
Right. Promiscuity should be discouraged, but I miss family porn night. I am sensing some conflicts here. Yeah. Um, Vince Womack. It's worse if the package under her skirt is not a strap-on. You're fucking correct. 103,000,000% correct on that fucking.
No,
If it's a
tried it.
strap-on, it's bad, but if it's not a strap-on, it's worse.
It's the same
No,
for me.
I
I'm
don't.
bisexual, so for
Like,
me, it's like whatever if there's a third leg or not.
I was 22 years old, and I hooked up with a 35-year-old named Janice, who was some kind of NSA technician. I forget what it was. Doesn't matter. And we had a party at her place, and there was like two older guys, me and Janice, and one of Janice's friends. And the two older guys left with Janice's friend, who was a really cute blonde. Again, 35 years old, 10 years older than I was. And when they leave, we start going at it, and she grabbed my butt. And I went, oh no,
Oh
and
my!
clenched.
Oh no.
And she was she's like, no, it's okay, and I went, okay. And she tried to do that, and I clenched again, and then I hopped off, and I ran out the door with her dragging behind me with her hand up my butt.
Yeah.
Most of that is true.
Alrighty.
I was it's like, you have to tell me what you're doing, and
Right.
no, I'm not okay with that for several reasons, personal reasons. No,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it was just, it's like, tell me first before you start doing things like that.
All right. I do not consent. Keep awake. Oh my gosh. So Vince Womack says, I'm guessing Bush doesn't date black women if he likes to pull hair and not weaves.
The first love of my life was half black, and her compatriots who were of the same race. Guess I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Called her a high yellow. She was a high yellow bitch.
Never heard that one before.
She did not like other black people because black people who were darker than her didn't like her. I didn't accept her.
Some colorism going on there, huh?
Absolutely. There
happens.
That started in high school, and I've seen it throughout my life. The most racist motherfuckers are the ones who call everyone else racist.
Yep. Indeed. Hail to Mitra Skolander. Says, super scared of that Mars Attacks Queen. When we're talking about sex, you should be. Hail and welcome. It's always great to see new faces. Make sure you're subscribed.
Imagine pushing that skull out there.
Right? Yeah, that's like nothing but a skull fuck right there. Anyway,
should I change my avatar?
No, you're fine, dude. It's totally fitting. You know, it looks like a butt, so why not? Vince says 80 years old. Well, if she has money and is close to death, nah, not for me. Well, you got close.
I still couldn't do it. I mean, I'm not that greedy. I'm not that needy. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, what was her name? The one who was in Naked Gun Part 3. The really hot blonde.
Yeah.
She did her own like movies and stuff.
Yeah. I don't remember the name, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, she married like an 80-year-old guy, and then he died, and everyone was like, "Really?
Gold digger." I ain't saying she a gold digger, but yeah.
And she's like, "No, I really loved him. Did you? Did you really?
Did you
really though?
Yeah, I'm sure. Just like that. What was her name?
Someone in the chat.
Anna Nicole.
Anna Nicole Smith. Anna Nicole Smith. Thank you. Right there.
Yeah. Like, trust me, bro. I did.
Yeah. I tell you, like all she did, like when he was in a fucking wheelchair, was go over and pat him on the cheek and kiss him.
Right.
That's love.
Anna Nicole Smith. Yeah.
By the way, no prenup.
No prenup. TZ Burton says, my wife took a picture of me with the LA Kings Ice Girls. I was surrounded by tatas. That's nice. It's always nice to be surrounded by tatas.
Dude, my mom worked IT at Chase in Tampa, and one of the interns was a Buccaneers cheerleader. I have
Okay.
that whole season cheerleader signed. It's in a bookcase. I can go get it. And she like, Mom, come on, dude. It's like, let me meet him. And she went, oh no, I did you one better. I got them all to sign the thing for you. Like, thanks. I
Yeah.
love you.
So I want to touch on this Snail Messiah comment. Okay. So Snail Messiah says, I've known prostitutes and porn ladies who have had very strong, loving relationships, getting a bit tired of the stereotype that such ladies can't have a good, healthy life. Okay. When I make a generalization, I do want people to realize that I know it doesn't apply to everyone. There are exceptions to
Right.
every thought that I have in my head. And I don't think that prostitutes and porn ladies can't. Just like strippers can totally find good relationships and stuff, so can porn stars, so can prostitutes. The problem there is the majority of them don't. And when the majority of them don't, it sets precedent. And when it sets precedent, it becomes the focus of my generalization. Now, I know plenty of porn stars who have actually turned it 100%, 180 degrees and turned into what you might call sexual safety advocates and things like that, that have actually done good with what they've learned from the industry and what they've done with their lives and stuff. But I do feel it's important to distinguish the fact that not a lot of them actually have the opportunity to form those relationships, and the ones who
Right.
do will the ones who don't capitalize on those opportunities will often wind up being just used up and cast aside. So no offense meant by stating that they can't, but my generalizations, while they seem like they include everyone, often don't. And of course Snail
And
Messiah says Roger Roger.
and there's also another generalization that you brought up earlier about polygamy. Multiple partners in the relationship. Most do not work out.
Right.
That what was it?
Some do.
Was it Big Love on HBO with Bill Paxton? That's
Right.
a TV show. You know, it doesn't work out like that, generally speaking.
Right. But
And
it technically can, because in
it
the realm
can.
of
It
infinite
absolutely can.
probability, anything
Oh,
can
it was
happen. But
Branch Davidians worked out pretty well, didn't it? In Waco, Texas.
right, yeah, it worked out great, obviously.
The ATF killed them all.
TZ Burton says Asian women look good until age 60, then it's gremlins time. I won't disagree with you.
Yeah, Jason, do you know about Waco and the Branch Davidians?
What'd you say?
Do you know about Waco and the Branch Davidians?
No, I don't think so.
No.
All right,
we-
Corey, you go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll touch on this just real quick, and then I want to get to Christian Delorme's comment here. So, the Branch Davidians were a cult, for lack of a better term.
David Koresh.
Yep, David Koresh convinced all these people he was pretty much Jesus, and he got them all down.
He was also a Jewish rabbi before doing
right, which creates a slight conflict, just a little bit anyway. But so he built this nice little commune, or bought a nice commune down in Texas in Waco, and then they all started holding up, and they started like collecting guns and being crazy and stuff. And basically, the rule was if you were there, you belonged to Koresh. Especially if you were a woman.
So the men who were part of the commune, but besides David Koresh, were not allowed to have relationships
right
with the women. David Koresh would do it for them because
Koresh's property.
It was sinful.
Yep.
That was the cultish idea, was it is committing a sin under God, so I will take that sin upon myself. And he fucked all these guys' wives.
Yep. Yep. He took all their money, he fucked all their wives, and then he got them all killed because the ATF was like, hey guys, we're going to raid your shit. And he was like, kill them all. And they did.
Well, ATF and FBI screwed that up royally.
They really did. They didn't handle it properly with procedural precision or finesse, but like overall, that whole situation was fucked beyond belief. If you guys aren't aware of what happened with the Branch Davidians and like all these other crazy things that have happened in the world, do some Googling and you'll be surprised at how crazy the past is, and be even more surprised to find out it's still the same.
Well, there was another one back in 2005 that was a Mormon compound.
Was that the Ruby Ridge?
No.
No,
That was not Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge was more of a like out in the woods.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There was another one, and I think it was 2005, where it was a Mormon compound, and they had like chain link fence with barbed wire on top of it, and they had a bunch of girls in there, and they were doing bad things to girls. Branch
Yep.
Davidians they never proved that David Koresh was doing anything untoward to the kids.
Yeah.
They never proved that.
But when you look at a person who has a megalomania complex like he did,
Well,
then it's
he's
yeah,
already got like 26 women. He's
yeah.
yeah.
I still
There's no
don't think
reason.
I think he did, honestly. I
I
just don't
don't
see
know.
someone with
I
that
don't
kind
know.
of ego. But anyway, so I will just touch on Trina, then we'll get to that sounded bad. Hey, she said, I'm not worried about offending people. Prostitution and porn is degeneracy, not good for anybody. I do
I
agree with you
disagree. I think
to a certain
there.
point.
No, I
Once
think
again,
there is a healthy aspect to porn at some point. When it
really
becomes an
depends on how you
addiction,
use it. Yeah.
when it becomes an addiction, it's a problem. Like you have to see it every day. You have to see, God, what is it? The one, uh, one jar, one guy, and then, can I say this on your stream, Corey?
You can say whatever the fuck you
Right.
want, bro.
Two girls, one cup. That kind of stuff
I knew you
is
were gonna go there.
way beyond.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When you start looking at that stuff and getting excited by that stuff, I've seen reaction videos, and one of the ones I saw was army guys, and they're like,
Yeah.
ah, most of them are getting up and like trying to leave, and the other guys are trying to like hold them back so they could keep watching.
Thank you for
And there's
reminding
one
me about
guy
that
sitting,
video.
he's sitting in a folding chair, just like nodding along with a smile on his face. I'm like, okay, that's the guy you need to look out for.
Oof, God.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's beyond addiction. That's you're moving into the realm where Trina's talking about
Oh, you're used to just a
pure
fucking
degeneracy.
if you like that.
I mean,
hail to one man show. What's up, bro?
Hey,
hey, one man show. I'm not gonna fault anyone for what they like if it doesn't hurt anyone, but that's not okay.
Right. So
you're just like
we're
if you like those videos. I'm gonna say it straight out. That's how I feel about it, and I always will.
alrighty. So we're gonna hit Christian Delorme's question here because this is a fun question, at least for me. And then we have a donation over on the Ko-fi side that we're gonna get to. All right. So Christian Delorme says, "I want to pick your brains about the quiet girl at church who is a sexual fiend." Well, to start out simple, many of them require when you see a church girl, a girl who seems really nice and is like well put together and stuff, there's a lot of factors that can go into making her what you call a sexual fiend. And one of the biggest things that goes into that is a need for personal validation, because a lot of the times within a religious context, sex is, for lack of a better term, demonized. It is made to where like it's a dirty thing unless you do it within specific guidelines. And those kinds of conflicting thoughts, especially when they're running up against teenage emotions and the teenage sex drive, can actually cause a conflict that makes them want to figure out why it's such a bad thing. But then once they feel the validation or they feel the accomplishment or something in there that gives them that little boost of adrenaline that almost everyone seeks, they will often just latch onto that, and then they'll have to do a dual life kind of thing where they have to hide it because they're kind of ashamed of their behavior because of the religious aspects or the cultural or familial context to which sex has been placed within. And then they have to also balance that out with their desires. And oftentimes, if you don't teach a person to control their desires properly, they will allow them to run wild. And the problem there is with you when you're dealing with a religious context. Sex is such a taboo; they're not willing to talk about it, so it has to take on a life of its own. Each person gives it the life of its own, but when you're dealing with the sex crazed girl in church, you're often dealing with a menagerie of things that will cause her to do that. Between the conflicting messages, the biological drives that are there, and then the psychological need that is being fulfilled by the sex will often push them
I have a
to
point to make.
more promiscuous things.
But based on what you're saying, there's also a suppression of those desires, which
That's true.
you haven't hit on, and that is one of the things that keeps pressing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bubble, and it's going to pop at some point. And
exactly, and that speaks to the point that bottling any type of emotion is unhealthy for you, and it can drive you to overwhelm yourself with that need.
it's like Family Guy when Brian talked to Lois, and he's like, "Well, how do you deal with this?" And she's like, "I just suppress it, and I just don't think about it." And then it like zooms on our brain, and it's Peter, and he goes, "I'm a tumor. I'm 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 a tumor."
Yeah.
To be as horrible as possible.
One man show says religion messes up a lot of things in people's lives.
No,
I won't disagree. Religion, yes. Faith, not
let's
so
make
much.
the generalization again, Corey. Go. Generalization.
Yes.
Generally, it's a good thing.
Generally.
Have people use religion to do bad things? Yes.
Absolutely.
David, correct.
Throughout history, you can name a billion different things. Vince, of course, being hilarious. Vince says, agreed, the whole standing, kneeling, bowing. I wish the priest would choose a position and screw me already.
Wow. Vince, you're wrong. He's talking about the Catholic Church.
Right.
It is a workout if you actually adhere to it. You get up, you sit down.
It's almost like burpees.
You sit down, you get up, you kneel, you get up, you sit down, you stand when you sing, you kneel, and then you sit down again, then you walk.
And it's even worse if you're in a place that practices prostrating, where you have to lay down on the ground. That's even worse, because then it is literally just a burpee. I know I've prostrated myself, but only in private worship sessions.
Were there snakes involved?
No, there was not. No, there was not. Just me and God. Now, over to the Ko-Fi side before we close things out. Let's see what TZ Burton says for $6. All right. Why are there so many notifications on my phone? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so he says, thanks, Corey. This is a good talk. Sex addiction is as bad as drug addiction. Yes, it is. And it can be 5 times as destructive as a drug addiction as well.
There is sex addiction. I believe in sex addiction. This is where someone has to. And we have had since Tiger Woods. Like, oh, he's a sex addict. No, he is a decent looking man with a shitload of money. Same thing with David Duchovny was another one that came out as a sex addict. Like, no, he's not married. He's a really good looking guy. He's got shitloads of money. And
it makes it easy to get laid. I mean, look at Jimi Hendrix.
Some 25-year-old bartender going, oh my God, you're David Duchovny. You're from Red Shoe Diaries, aren't you?
Right, dude.
Bam.
So that reminds me.
In the limo he has outside waiting for him. Gets laid. That's not sex addiction. That's just ease of access. There's a difference.
And most celebrities, because of their ease of access, might consider themselves sex addicts. But when you look at an actual sex addict, the destructive behavior that accompanies sex is really what defines the sex addict.
Right.
Because
exactly.
They lack a give a shit on who it is. They lack a give a shit on where it is. They lack a give a shit on how, a lot of the time, especially if it's a guy that's sex addicted, because he'll
and their dick probably looks like
wherever.
your hat and your headphones.
Right,
like,
and
after all that nonsense,
then of course you look at the female side; it's probably all nasty and drag it.
It looks like Jason Fox profile picture.
Right.
Want to stick your dick in that? No offense, mine's
look
worse.
At my burning cigarette. Damn, might as well rub one out. Yeah, exactly.
No, sex addiction's a lot worse. It is where people would be in public and see a woman that's they're physically attracted to, or that women do it too, and go to the layaway in Walmart and just start going at it with themselves.
Right.
That's
If
sex
it
addiction.
happens, it is
Right.
indeed. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wind it down. I've got some music production and a production meeting with one of my friends to get to. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Trina, have a great day. I hope you all enjoyed this show. It was a very strange one, but we had a good time with it nonetheless. I hope we made some good points and made you laugh a couple of times. One Man Show, to close it out, says, defined that way, sex addiction is one of my least concerns.
I've had a
That,
boner this whole time.
hey, I'm not surprised. That's a lot of sexy with
Just to make Jason laugh. Just to make Jason laugh.
that bulging head, man. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start giving them their outs. So, Jason, where can they find you? What's
Well,
going
of
on?
course, you can find me on 540 Studio, of course. On I always say Friday, Wednesday, we're gonna try to do a 5cast again with my co-host Prismatics, and of course on Thursdays, that's our main event show, The Beyond, where we talk about everything that happens in pop culture and other stuff like that, with a big panel as always. And on Fridays, you can find me with Comic Relief Crusader, where we talk about some pop culture stuff and some funny news. And I just started up my new show, Skullcast.
Nice.
And that's basically, shares just in Norwegian with Skull. And that show is kind of different than everything else we do on the channel, because that is more of we can talk about whatever the fuck we want. And it's like, if you
Hell
don't like a
yeah.
YouTuber, you can name drop the person if you want to. That's how it is. It's a really open stream.
Fuck yeah.
Of Oh yeah, I had a good friend of mine on the first episode, and yeah, I talked about the fellowship and a lot of other stuff and how I felt about it, because I do not care if anyone in the fellowship gets mad. Not
Yeah,
my
Hell
and
problem.
yeah.
he speaks English very well, being from a foreign country.
Yes, he does.
Oh, thank you.
He's also a
Uh,
Viking. That's pretty rad.
hell yeah, it is. He's
And
Viking.
thanks
He
for having
does
me on.
metal music. He's the single
I was-
most like badass
I do
I've
metal
seen-
Norwegian I've ever heard
music,
of.
pop
I've
music.
seen Jason. I've seen
Starcraft.
Jason in chats for like 4 years now. I guess
Yeah,
it was like right around
at
COVID. I
least.
started seeing you.
Yeah, something like that for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, Bush, do you have anything you want to pitch?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursday. Oh God, the fucking picture.
It's
Uh,
lovely.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will stream if I can. Last week, I got waylaid by jackassery because Thursday was the 4th. So I had to work on Wednesday, so I couldn't stream on Tuesday. And I had plans for the 4th, but my mom
Naturally.
decided to go and hang out with her widow's club, which I mean, not like spiders. Like, these are women who have lost their husbands, and
Right.
ditched me on that. And 2 of my cousins went to the hospital because their
Ooh.
daughter was supposedly supposed to give birth on the 4th. So I'm like, okay, I'm alone. And my 2 homies that are golf players went to the pub, and
Wow.
I got to eat for about 4.5 meals. Let's call it that. A whole rack of ribs that I
Ooh.
got for $1.75 a pound.
Oh, wow.
But I did my slow cook roast on them with a spice rub.
Hell yeah.
I had
Give me
pictures.
some ribs. Need me some ribs.
So
right.
Tuesday nights, usually after 11 p.m., I will be streaming Shadow of Mordor. No, I'm sorry, Shadow of War, the sequel to Shadow
okay.
of Mordor.
Nice. Hell
I
yeah.
think I'm
Make
up
sure you
to
guys are
part
subscribed
12.
to Bush McFadden.
And
What's
I got a new game last week called The First Descendant.
okay.
And I've been playing that a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And
Alright.
it's free. So if you want to play, download it. My gamer tag is shocking Bush McFadden.
Never
I
would have
just followed
seen
you,
that.
Bush. I just followed you
Man.
since that's why I didn't follow you. So I
Oh,
just followed
thanks, Jason.
Hell
As
yeah.
soon as we're done with this, I will follow you back, brother. I'm
Alright.
also
So-
Bush McFadden on Twitter.
Yes,
I'm the
There we go.
only Bush McFadden out there.
I
Damn
follow
right,
you
one and
on the
only.
540 account and my personal account where I never post anything.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna bounce. So stay sexy. Oh wait, I guess I should pitch my own stuff. Dick's News US tonight. And that whole Monday meltdown thing on that little dude comics division's channel. Yeah. Make sure you catch that. We're gonna have a good time tonight. And anyway, stay
Wash your
sexy.
hands.
Yes, wash your hands because it's good hygiene, as culture used to say.
Corey, are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not, and I never
Oh,
will
he's
be again. But
Are you on X though?
no, I'm not on X either. So Boosh,
It's
make
X,
sure you
Twitter,
shoot
it's
me
called
with a
Chitter.
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 So
Xitter. Shitter.
shitter. Okay, that's good to remember. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you give Boosh a follow and a subscribe or whatever, and then make sure you do the same with Jason over here. They're great guys. They're awesome. But until next time, stay sexy. Don't get murdered. And as always, have a wonderful time.